So let us begin. In the beginning, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Djordje Ivković, and it is my honor to present you our study under the name A New Artificial Neural Network Model for Predicting Fatigue Limit and Fracture Toughness Values of some Stainless Steels. Beside me, the contribution gave also the other authors written here. So here are some of the outlines of our paper, of our study, and we'll begin with small introduction. Then we proceed with training and structure of artificial neural networks, results and discussion, and conclusion. In the field of materials engineering, having precise data on key material properties is of great importance. Constructors rely on them to do their calculations when they are designing some structures. When a structure is subjected to a static load, yield stress, or in some cases tensile strength values are used in their calculations. If a structure is subjected to a load that is changing over time, the load can be considered as dynamic, and in that cases, constructors use fatigue limit values to do their calculations and designs. In last few decades, I would like to emphasize a new, or actually a novel approach was developed in which a study of material behavior is studied, and the structure of material has initial defect. Of course, here I'm thinking about fracture mechanics and fracture toughness as a value which describes the behavior of material in certain conditions. I would like also to emphasize that static tests are compared with ease in comparison to fatigue testing and fracture toughness testing. And to do last two tests, we need to spend a lot of time and we need to engage a lot of resources. To avoid that, in some cases, we can apply or actually use the artificial neural network so that we can make some prediction of results based on, for example, chemical composition, as similar was done in this study. Of course, I assume that we all know that artificial neural networks were created as an attempt to simulate the thinking and conclusion-making process of a human brain. Their structure consists of a large number of artificial neurons, which actually represent the mathematical model of a human neuron cell. Here on the figure 2, both human, or actually natural neural cell, and artificial neural cell are displayed. How do they work? Natural cell works in that way that dendrites receive signals from other neurals from other neural cells and transfer it through the body, axon, and axon terminals to other neural cells. Similar artificial neural network, or actually cell, works. It summarizes all the entrances from other neurons and transfers it to the other layers. A mathematical formulation of an artificial neuron can be made with equation number 1, y equals kx plus n, where y is output value from a neuron, k is the weight coefficient, n is bias value, and x is sum of entry values. We also need to mention that application of artificial neural networks isn't possible without adequate training. Training is required to be able to adjust weight and bias values so that we have the as precise as possible output. To be able to complete the training, we need to have some data about the problem that we are solving existing, of course. The data is further split into input and output sets and applied to the network. For our purposes, we created 2 artificial neural networks in MathWorks MATLAB software, one to predict fatigue limit and one to predict fracture toughness of stainless steels. Both networks were created as feed-forward backpropagation networks, and both networks consisted from 3 layers: input, hidden, and the output layers. Input sets for training was common for both networks, and consisted from chemical composition of 64 different stainless steel grades. Output training sets, we had 2 of them. One consisted from fatigue limit values, and the second consisted from fracture toughness of the same steels which we used to create the input data sets. Of course, I want to mention that all data used for creating data sets was founded in the Cambridge Education software, EduPack 2010 software. Here is displayed the structure of our artificial neural networks. I want to emphasize that here in the input layer, we have 18 neurons. And actually, we had 18 different chemical elements across the spectrum of 64 different stainless steel grades. Of course, none of the steels had all 18 chemical elements, but elements which were missing had the value of 0% in the input set. Here we have the training parameters for both neural networks, and with those parameters and structure which I displayed on the previous slide, we achieved adequate or sufficient regression values, approximately 88.5 in both cases. With that regression values, as we consider it satisfactory, we proceeded and entered the chemical composition of these two stainless steels, which weren't the part of the training data sets. For the given network, proceeded training and the chemical composition of those steels, we obtained some values of fatigue limit and fracture toughness. Here, with the green columns, are displayed the values founded in the Cambridge Education pack, and with the red are displayed the values of fracture or fatigue limit obtained by a neural network. Here are displayed the results regarding fracture toughness. Comparing those two values obtained, of course, from the artificial neural networks and Cambridge Education pack, we calculated the error value, which in both cases, or actually in all cases, was sub 10%. And based on that, we proceeded to make the conclusion that in some cases, when engineers are designing less responsible structures, we can proceed and use values of which we obtained through artificial neural networks, but still, when we are designing responsible structures, we recommend to do the experimental testing. It was a little bit quick, a little bit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.